Okay, it's 7 p.m. Uh, we have a quorum. There's three of us here that are board members, myself, Gene, and Dave. It's the first thing we're gonna do is Nelly Gonzalez will be joining us on the board. So I'll make a motion that we accept Nelly Gonzalez as a board member. Second,
I second the
I hear
motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank
Nelly,
you.
welcome to the
Yes.
board.
Thank you.
So, and in case Nelly lives at that, I've always thought that was the most beautiful roof in the neighborhood, the 8602 Shadow Crest, if I remember correctly.
It's 03.
03?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 03 is yes. Okay. Next to Myrna, right? Where Myrna used to live?
Yes, it reminds me, and it always has, of a gingerbread house because of the way the roof is.
Okay. Now, the meetings are videotaped, and if I do everything correctly, there's also an audio, and there's also a written chat because it's supposed to be recording everything. I don't always do it right, but I almost always get the video right and the audio right. But I found that it's easier for me to post a video on YouTube than it is for me to take the audio, because then the audio has to be compressed and that means reduced so that I can get it on our website. So it's much easier for me to put a video of a meeting on YouTube and then post that video. Just a minute, Mikey. Stop. Now, financials. We're doing fine. In fact, right now, our bank shows that we have 82,000. Now, we do have some payments coming up. Those would be the mosquito spraying. I know they started in March, but they haven't billed us yet. And it's approximately 270, 280 a month. So the first time they bill us will maybe 2 months. So that part, financially, we're doing fine. We actually have had more people pay this year than we did last year. 6 houses have sold this year, just this year. And there's another one on Nairn that supposedly is selling, so that would be 7. Every time we sell a house, they ask for a resale certificate, and we can charge up to $400. We charge $350. So every time there's a house sold, we collect $350 plus if that house has past assessments due, that is also collected. For instance, one house that sold earlier this year, they owed $1,200 and something. We collected that. So it's financially, we're doing fine. The lawsuit has already been filed with for the property on Mahoney for us to try to get title to it. Hopefully it can be done by the end of this year, but the courts move very slow, I'll be honest with you. So we had our last board meeting, we actually only had one agenda item, and that was the budget. And it was passed unanimously by everyone that was there, which would Alexis, myself, Gene, and Dave. So those are those are basically the minutes, the financial and the minutes. So let's on the financial. Any questions?
No.
But all of that is on our website also. All of it is on our website, and I try to keep how much we're spending and how much we've taken in, and I post it I've been doing it this year monthly. So, it's, I believe in transparency, and well, I don't think anybody really looks at our website. I want to make sure that it's there. So if there's no question, a motion to accept the financial? Anyone? Motion made, second?
I
I'll
second.
second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The minutes, again, the only thing we had on the minutes was the budget in January, and that passed. And the meeting ended at 7:40 PM in January. Now, bylaws require we have 4 board meetings a year. So this will be our second one. I can call a meeting, and if nobody shows up other than myself, it's a meeting. So, if you have something that you really need to do, unless we're having to vote on something, don't worry about it. The one meeting that really is important is the budget, because within that budget, basically, it allows me to do everything that needs to be done. So I knew I wrote it down somewhere. I just don't know where. Our pay system, we have Stripe. And Stripe has very good reviews, but it's for developers. I'm not a developer. I mean, I'll try anything, but I've never taken programming classes. I do like to teach myself, but for a while there, payments were not going through on Stripe. And so I spent hours, the last 3 weeks, basically, playing with it. And what can happen, and I know I'm talking like alien language, unless you do websites. Most people use what's called WordPress. And they have plugins. Plugins are basically like free stuff that is supposed to help a website. Sometimes those plugins can create a conflict with other ones. And in this case, there was one that was having a conflict with the Stripe payment. So I found it, and at least 2 days ago, it was working fine. But I'm going to keep searching, because we need to find something that's a little easier. I use Excel. But if you've never worked with Excel to a large degree, keeping track of all the payments and everything, that spreadsheet can get complicated. And I know that a lot of people don't do that. There's one called HOA Pay, which would be a little bit more expensive than what we have. It's supposed to be easier, but one person was complaining that said it's easy to use the program and it seems to work fine, but when they ran into problems, they couldn't get any help.
How much
So-
is how much do we pay for the Stripe each month or year?
We pay $400, plus then we pay every time somebody pays. Let's say somebody paid $100, they got a 2.8% that they also charge for that payment, kind of like a credit card.
So the 400 is yearly or monthly?
Yearly.
So we pay 400 and then we pay 2.8% every time we get money?
Yes.
How much is the HOA pay? Más o menos.
The minimum was $50 a month, but there's a transfer fee also. Now, Stripe allows us to charge that fee to the people paying. When we first started, we decided not to do that because people are not used to actually paying the fee up front, except when you pay like the property taxes. Because if you use a credit card to pay your property taxes, they're going to charge you a fee in addition to whatever your property taxes are. But most places don't do that. You know, they take the fee, they're actually adding it up to whatever you're buying, but so they're getting that way. But and certainly next year we can do that. We can add the fee. You know, it's $53. The fee's not much, but I had one person pay 1,000 something, you know, and so that's a little bit more money that they kept. So it's you know, it's something to consider. We don't have to decide that today, but yeah, I'm gonna keep looking, and if I find something that I believe is easier, then you know I'll let you all know. There's PayPal, but PayPal has the same problem that PayPal is just so people can pay. It doesn't take care of the keeping track of what everybody has paid. Sharpstown uses PayPal, but they don't have to really keep track because they're voluntary. Somebody pays, that's it. Whatever amount they pay, that's it. So here it's you know, you got to keep track. So the other, I had looked into Cell, but if any of you keep up with the news, Cell has had a lot of problems, and the bank is not suggesting that people use Cell anymore. Chase. So, but I'm going to keep looking, and I'll let you know on that. I just need your okay that it's okay for me to keep looking. I don't need you to vote to approve anything because since I got Stripe to work, we're fine. Now, what you will see, and just so you'll know, is on the bank statements, you'll see like $10 that went out. What you won't see is that $10 is because I'm testing Stripe to make sure that the payments are going through. So every time you see a $10 that shows up on the credit card, that's what it's being used for. But it'll tell you on the bank statement. That's and I usually put Cyril Mahoney. Cyril Mahoney is that property at the corner, and that's actually two properties. I don't know if you knew that, but it's actually two properties that we're trying to get title to. Let's put it that way. I'm trying to. Any questions on anything?
I just wanted to mention that a house on my block, 8710 area, they left and now it's up for rent. So I don't know if that was important to you or not. And
Unless it
they
become a
left
problem.
some. They left some. They had a garbage can that was overfilled, and eventually they dealt with it. So now it looks clean again. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that in case you were curious.
One house on Imogene, 8818.
Yep.
The owners had been here since the 1960s. He sold, and he sold it very cheap for 130,000. They didn't even put a sign up. Wherever the realtor was, he called somebody and they bought that house, paid cash. A week later, they sold the house again for about 200,000.
Wow.
Oh,
Did they pay us each time?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
So we got $700 out of it.
Yes.
Hmm.
Nellie?
wow, that's amazing that house went for that cheap, and then that somebody was able to profit
Grab
so
it.
much from it.
We haven't had a house that has sold for less than $200,000 here. Probably in over a year. Now, some that maybe I don't know about, may have, but most of them are selling for 200,000 and up. In fact, if you look at that chart that I have on the website, we basically, in 2021, houses were selling for about $100 a square foot. This last year, they were selling for $158 a square foot. So we have gone up every year. This year, I'm not so sure because of, what's happening with the economy
Yeah.
and everything like that. The interest rates have not really gone down on mortgages, and it may be getting harder to get mortgages, but people are paying cash. Even people that are not investors, they're paying cash for the houses. So
I keep getting calls from investors that want to know if I want to sell my house, and I keep saying no. I
Me
don't know how
too.
they get my phone number.
Me too. Or stuff in the mail. They always wanna. They always wanna. They always wanna buy 8603 Shadow Crest.
I
that
just ignore those.
Me too.
the
Hmm.
they're working very fast on that bridge over the bayou. I talked to one of the persons there, and he said that they should have the bridge up by the end of May.
Mm.
Hmm.
So but we'll see.
Is that gonna connect to the freeway, or like where is that gonna connect to?
Actually, there's two well, the bridge goes over, then it goes underneath the freeway. And if you were to go to the other side of the freeway, there's a hike and bike trail almost to the highway on the other side also. There's just a little bit that needs to be connected. There's a park, a new park, I think it's 2 years old, maybe 3, that's just on the other side of the freeway, just behind Toyota. And if you haven't been there, that is a beautiful park. And it's also a retention pond.
Be careful.
Not a big retention pond, but it is a good sized retention pond. But that is a beautiful park.
Is that the
and
one where the replica of the Vietnam Memorial Wall is?
yes,
Hmm.
and so that's going to be there. What they're trying to do is they're trying to, well, the first that hike and bike trail is going to connect all the way to Arthur's Story, and eventually it's going to go almost all the way to Highway 6. And we're right in the middle. Normally, when you have a hike and bike trail like that in a neighborhood, it increases the value of the properties by about 10%.
Hmm.
So, we'll see. And normally crime doesn't follow, with the exception that maybe some of the properties that are right next to the trail, simply because they're just next to it. But we'll have to wait and see what happens on that.
And on my side of the bayou, there's not that many houses that are right by the bayou. There are more on your side.
Well, but since it doesn't come this way, and if you haven't noticed, if you were to come to my property, it's blocked off so that no motorcycle or four-wheeler can go through the top of the bayou. And as long as the flood control district doesn't say anything, basically I planted plants and things like that so that they couldn't come through. Because it used to be bad. Right over there where that building is on the freeway next to the bayou, they now have it chained off, but when there were accidents and they didn't have any chains, there were 2 times that cars were lined up along the bayou so they could avoid the traffic, just along the bayou to get on Braeburn Glen. So, and so it was a problem, at least for me, because one, it's my property. I don't know if y'all know it, but those of us that live next to the bayou, our property goes to the middle of the bayou. We have very large properties that we really can't use half of them, but we do have very large properties. But talking to people that bought here, before it was cemented. They said it was like a creek running down there with beautiful trees, and it was just very beautiful that one of the ladies that lives on this side, when they told her what they were gonna do, she sat out there on a rocking chair with a shotgun to keep them away. She eventually she gave up, but it supposedly was very beautiful. Just imagine having a creek run through the middle of your property, and that's
Yeah.
what it was like.
Hmm.
So
Now, let me ask you all those empty lots that are in front of where they're building that bridge, where I know when I first moved here 30 years ago, there used to be nothing but houses lined up. And I guess as the floods and stuff happened, they became lots. Are
they
those
got
lots?
bought out. They bought them out.
Oh, so they belong to someone?
FEMA.
FEMA. Well, no, actually, the flood control district, county.
Oh,
And they're not going to allow any more houses there, period. Even if they were to raise them, they will not allow them in that area, which is from Braeburn Glen, Valley View, all the way to Kennard,
uh-huh.
Kennard. They really want to buy all those houses out.
But
Wow.
they can't, right? I mean, they can't make those people sell.
It
Right.
depends on where the money comes from.
Ah,
See, when the federal government is involved, normally they do not allow you to force people to sell. Now, if you use other money, for instance, there's 4 people on that side of the bayou. They didn't want that hike and bike trail there, but they were forced to sell because the city forced them to sell it using eminent domain.
I
And
was just
so,
going to say that eminent domain can take over a lot.
and so they used it for that. So, there was 4, if I remember correctly, who did not want to sell, but they were forced to sell. And they don't want to move. I've talked to them. They said, you can't find properties like this anywhere else.
yeah.
And even though we flooded a lot of times, and some people have been there through 4 floods, our houses are still better built than almost any of the new houses. So they don't want to sell. And so the only way they would sell is, the city forces them to sell. So
What's happening with the water park? Do you know?
I haven't, it's supposedly still on, but maybe they're waiting till I can bike trail gets connected.
Yeah.
But last I checked, they said it's still on, but we'll see. But we were like number 3 or 4 on the list. So,
Mm.
but supposedly it's still gonna get there. And then the other thing, I don't know if you get the emails from Councilmember Pollard's office.
Yeah.
The mayor is not allowing him to use the money right now. Like in fact, the mayor got mad at them and told the police not to enforce the parking on the grass.
No.
So just to let you know, we can report it, but that doesn't mean it's going to be taken care of. And so it's supposedly citywide, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But for sure on District J. And so, I haven't been using the District J patrol simply because Whitmire is not allowing them to use them the way they were being used. So,
Was he mad at
and
Pollard or something?
I think so. I think when he did 2 things. One, he decided to call J City, District J City. The second one is what he said, because of what he was doing, violent crime was 20% lower than citywide. So I kind of did like you just did. I go, yeah. I can pick on the mayor, but I don't need anything from him. But the council member does, and we have a very strong mayor's system here in Houston. So he's kind of like a dictator. I'll be honest with you. It depends on how much power they want to use. Here in
Yeah.
Houston, the mayor has a lot of power because they
Yeah.
control the agenda, they control the money, so they appoint everybody. So
I
if
heard that the mayor's in trouble because he's endorsing a Republican candidate, the guy with the patch.
well,
So
just
Crenshaw.
we're not supposed to talk politics, but
Oh.
it can make it harder for him to get reelected. Let's put it that way. But certainly 311. Gene has suggested sending letters to people, but we're going to do a newsletter first. The sending letters is easy. It's everything else that comes with it is because all those letters, you got to keep them. You got to PDF them. And so you got to have folders, you have addresses, and we got to keep them for at least 7 years.
Yeah.
So, it's one thing to send letters, but then you got all that record keeping, which is just as hard. Which reminds me, I had been paying for Adobe products, but it was getting a little bit too expensive, so I had stopped it. But one of the products in there, Adobe PDF, it's very important for us because Adobe PDF does something that I haven't found any other PDF is capable of doing, and which is compressing files. If you ever tried to send an email and you have attachments, a lot of times if it's over 25 megabytes or something like that, they'll tell you they can't send it. And so Adobe can compress something that may be 30 megabytes down to maybe 15. So it allows you to send, basically, it's the same thing, but just it not taking up as much space. It also allows for redacting, like when we put up the bank statements and things like that. So, and there's 2 other programs that I have used for the Civic Club. I've had Adobe for years, since basically 2001. Used to, you could buy it yearly, but not anymore. Now you basically pay for it. I was paying $65 a month. Now, I had already dropped it, but then when all those houses started selling, I realized that I needed it. So I did send an email to the board saying that, because basically I was renewing, although they don't know that it's now Braeburn Glen. I got it for half price. So we're paying, I think, $35 a month for Adobe for 1 year. But next year it'll go up to 65 or whatever it's going to go up to. But it's a worthwhile program to have, especially if people learn how to use it. Adobe PDF is not too hard. Some of the other programs are. So that's one thing that I did do. But if any of you object, I can cancel it. You can cancel at any time. So
No.
If we need it, we
Yeah.
should keep it.
For sure.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, and if you're the one that's the one that's doing all the work that comes along with that, and you find something that makes what you're volunteering to do a lot easier, then I think it's fine.
Yeah, I agree.
Can the Adobe do the newsletter?
a program called InDesign. Do you remember how the newsletters we used to have that were printed? I used InDesign because it gets tricky. See, to take something to a printer, it has to be in a certain type of PDF format that the printer can read that gives it a high resolution. And that's one of the things that InDesign can do. So when I put it on there, basically it's print ready, so that all I do is I take it to the printer, they take what I have and they print it. Years and years ago, before that, you could make a copy, they would photograph it, and then they would run it through their printer, but those days are gone. And so, yes, because it allows you to basically get something print ready so that it goes through, basically the same thing you get from political mailers or advertising or things like that. So InDesign is a little bit more complicated to use though. But yes, there is, if you do newsletters, in fact, you can also do kind of like a book with it, but the problem with it is that it stores it in the cloud. And so if you ever drop the program, all that also disappears because that's part of the Adobe. But yes, it does help with that. In fact, most people don't have the ability to take something to the printer. Now, for the printer can take whatever you take to them, but then they're going to charge you to get it print ready. So that would be an additional cost.
What do I have to do? Do I just write up what I want it to say and send to you, or is there
Yes.
something else I need to do?
Just put it in Word.
Just
Or do you
send
have
you a
Word?
Word document saying and then hopefully like Dave and Nellie, you'll add something to it. So, because what I want is I want it to say things like, don't park on the grass, don't leave heavy trash out, cut your grass, just things to make our neighborhood look nice.
Yeah,
So if there's other things that you think are important, we can all talk about it.
for sure. Yeah. So will you be sending like will you be sending like in an email like a proof or to us so that if we have anything to add on, you're gonna be like, this is what I'm gonna send. Do you want to add to it? Do you want to bring something else to it before I send it off to printing or whatever? We'll have the opportunity to give you information before it gets sent out. Like you'll send us like a proof before it goes out so we can add to it.
Are you talking to me or to Gene or both?
Well, whoever's going to be I'm sorry, I don't know who initially gets the letter started. Is it Miss Jean?
Well,
Gene,
I'm the one who wants it done. Well, one of the ones who wants it done.
Yes.
So I thought I would just, write down all the things that I think it should say, and I can put it into a Word document. What if everybody just, you look at that and you adapt it, or you do your own Word document? I'm not really sure. And I'm a terrible procrastinator, so I need somebody to push me.
Well,
Can I?
once I get it, before I take it to the printer, I'll send it to the board for y'all to look at it. You can, add something, subtract something. My experience is that, when you send paperwork, sometimes people procrastinate and they wait too long. And, if it has to go to the printer, it has to go to the printer.
right,
So I
no,
just,
for sure. If it's
so,
not sent in a timely manner, then we can't expect for you to hold off until we decide to send it. So for sure, I think, all of us being very mature adults, we get that. But I would like to see the rough draft, like Miss Jean said, and say, oh, you know what, this is what I've been seeing on, on this side of the neighborhood. Maybe we can add, blah 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 to that newsletter, and then that way, we'll have a deadline. And if we want to add to the newsletter, we'll know that if we don't send it to either one of you before that deadline, then maybe next time the newsletter goes out, it can be put in there. I don't mind sitting and helping you, Miss Jean. I'm not very good, but I'm willing to help and to learn.
Well, Ravi said he'd help also.
Perfect.
Ravi Patel.
Uh-huh.
So,
If you want to get it out by June,
Okay.
at least 2 weeks before June, Gene, I need to have the material.
Okay.
why don't we
Can I make
say
a
the end,
comment?
why don't we say the end of this month is our deadline then?
Okay.
Oh, well, that's just a week, isn't
That's
it?
only 7 days away. Maybe
No,
make
that's
make it 2 weeks at
That's
least.
fast.
I'll be honest, with you, 7 days. I mean, not that it can't be done, but don't rush yourselves.
Well, and then if we don't get it ready for June, we can just have it ready for July.
Yeah, that's actually it can go out at any time in June or July. We haven't been doing monthly newsletters since I think 3 years ago is when we stopped because it just got too expensive. You know, when you're paying $5,000 for newsletters, and a lot of people, in fact, they told me they didn't read them. You know, that's a lot of money for people not to put at every house and people not read.
Yeah.
And sometimes someone in the house read it, but not all of them, and sometimes not the one that's really supposed to read it. So it's
Oh, so I'm thinking trash cans out of sight, your yard kept up, no parking
now
on the grass, heavy trash, don't put it out too soon. The curb is your responsibility.
now, Gene, on the trash cans out of sight,
Not gonna
that's like,
happen.
it ain't gonna happen. You can, if you maybe you put it nicely, the neighborhood would look better if you can't see the trash cans in front of your front door or something like that, but it's not gonna happen. Uh, I mean, when they were doing that, I can tell you that some of the board members, their trash cans were also visible from the street. And we really are, some of the homes are not designed where you can hide that.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'll
so,
tell you, when I got my letters, you scared me. So we built our fence and we put them behind the fence because we used to have our trash cans right on the side of the house, which was like easy movement to the curb and easy. But now we put a bigger fence in the backyard and we hide them. And yeah, it does look better. But I don't know. Some of our neighbors seem to like they just maybe they do need a little push to help our neighborhood look good because some people do really good about it and some people they don't.
Used to be, they used to say that you couldn't leave Christmas lights up. And I noticed them all over town. I mean, all over our neighborhood. I don't know. That's not important to me, but I don't know if we want to add that on there or not.
you
Yeah,
know,
I
I've
think it's
never left
becoming a
them.
thing. I think it's becoming a thing to have lights on all the time now.
In fact, the police actually recommend the Christmas lights, and then they recommend you turn them on
Yeah,
because lights help.
Deter.
deter, lights
Yes.
deter.
And so, I mean, but you know, a lot of that started like in 2012, 2013. And, you know, the problem is that we were a civic club. Our deed restrictions, as far as things like that, said, no, it can't be a nuisance. Now, are Christmas lights a nuisance?
I think they look
So,
pretty.
huh?
I think they look pretty. I don't have object
See,
to them.
so that's the problem with our deed restrictions. Now,
It's
if you look,
objective. It's
huh?
objective, right? Because
I'm sorry.
because like he said, to him they look pretty, but to other people it might be a nuisance. They might not like it. So I guess Christmas lights are kind of fall into how how you feel about Christmas lights. I to me they don't bother me. I always tell my husband I would love for us to get an electrician and for my house to be lit up like the sun is out at night because I think that the more lights the better. And
Well,
that's because we're still here at this corner. Maybe about a month ago they broke into my niece's truck that was parked in the front of our house. They smashed the driver's window and I don't know what they thought they were going to take. They took nothing, but they did break the window. And that's because we have all the light from the Shamrock Inn across the street. We have a big lamp pole from the city that's literally there, and we have two big spotlights that shine to our cars in the street, and it still didn't deter them. It was three little Hispanic kids. We saw them on the neighbor's camera,
Hmm.
and
You know, if you look at my house, it's lights all around. Uh, you know, just hook them up. And with the LED lights, it doesn't take a lot of power and they put out a lot of light. The other thing, anybody that lives like where you do, I'll be honest with you, should have cameras. If you have a tree that's close to the street, get a camera that's internet and put it up there so that you can actually maybe see the cars or the people better. In fact, anybody that passes in front of my house, I have a camera on my tree.
mm, never thought
So,
of.
Hey,
so
Manny, I have a question. Do you have a list of all of the yards of the month? Because we could add that to the newsletter, let people know that who's been getting it.
no, no, I don't keep track of that.
Me neither, I don't remember.
Uh,
I might be able to, I can do April, but I don't remember, and I don't remember the rest of them. Maybe I can find it out.
it should be on your phone because you take photographs of them.
Yeah, that's true. I do delete a lot of stuff. We didn't do January and we didn't do February. And by the way, Nellie, if you want to join our tiny committee for Yard of the Month, that would be great. So
I would
far, it's
love to.
just Carol and I.
I would love to. I
Okay.
have been working with the Houston Independent School District for um 30 years now, and I am and that's why I told Manny that I would help and help and serve on this board because I'm getting ready to retire. The middle of June is going to be my last, so I'm going to have some time on my hands, and
That's what you think.
and I would love to, of course, help in making our neighborhoods safe and nice, and maybe some people that have been doing it for a long time, they need help, they need a break, whatever. So like I said, I've been here for 30 years, and I never, I never had the time nor the energy to do any extracurriculars, but now I feel like it's my turn to help out and give back.
You know, and just sending a friendly letter, 70 to 80% of the people will take care of it.
Hmm.
Not have to be threatening. Just, you know, our neighborhood would look nicer, especially the owners, but even the renters. Uh, but you know, you'll be surprised. Some of the owners that do not live there, they make sure that the renters, if you let them know that the renters are not doing something or doing something they shouldn't be, they'll talk to them, and normally it stops.
Yeah.
I don't want the newsletter to be like I want it to be a friendly thing to like say, okay, our neighborhood, this is where we live. This is our home. These are things that we can do to make our home look nicer.
Correct. And the nicer we keep it, the more that we take care of it, the security gets better. That means that the chances of somebody either breaking in or doing, bad to any of our property or our vehicles, it's going to get stronger. So we definitely want to work as a team for the same goal, and that's for the safety and the beautification of our neighborhood. We all want our property value to go up. We all want it to go up, except when it's tax time.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Let's get to be 65. It helps a lot.
Well, I got another 5 years then.
It really helps a lot. You know, it's I tell people that at least the last 2 years I haven't paid any property tax.
I paid $6.
I'm
See,
jealous. I paid almost 2,200.
Yikes.
see, so some of it is just luck. When I hit 25 or 65, the value of the homes here had gone way down. So it kind of freezes it when you hit 65. So in essence, that was just good luck. And I remember people saying, griping about how their values had gone from 150 to like 50, 60,000. I go, are you selling? They go, no. Then I said, look at it this way. You're not paying as much property tax.
Yeah.
And so it's long term, the house values will go up. I don't think this neighborhood is going to deteriorate to that point. And even there, because of the size of the lots that we have, most of the lots, you could build two houses on them.
Yeah.
And so the land itself, if you look at your Harris County appraisal, you'll find that the property is probably worth anywhere from $70,000 to $80,000, just the property.
Mhm.
And so it's in fact that building on Mahoney, see, they didn't get permission and they were building a second house, and we stopped them. I had a person call me recently who wanted to build one. I said, no, we don't allow that. And he asked if we could bring a trailer so they could have someone live there. I go, no, you can't do that either. I said, yeah, I think he was having financial problems. I tell him the one thing you can do is you can enclose your garage and maybe rent it out, but you better make sure you get along with them.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna ask before we close, is anybody else having like issue with their water pressure being low?
Yes.
I had 3 times. It went low
have
and
they
then it came
fixed
back.
have they fixed it over there on Gessner?
The leak?
By the
Yes, there was a
Shell?
big leak.
Was
Yes.
that by the Shell?
Oh, they have those
I know there was a big
cans
water
over
leak
there.
out that way. Over here on my side, we were low pressure for like 3 or 4 days because there was a big water main that broke right there at the corner of Braeburn Glen and Bissonnet. And but they fixed that and my pressure is back up. But other than that, I have not had low water pressure.
Ours has been low since they shut our water off 3 times. And
Yeah.
the third time it came back, the water pressure never came back up hot,
I
strong.
agree with that. That was me too. I mean, without any notice, in the middle of the day, we lost water 3 different times, and and before I used to get like a good hard release, and now it's like not even medium. It's between low and medium pressure. I get absolutely nothing, even in the like the shower heads or when I'm watering my grass. It's and then so I noticed that the meter that somebody had messed with it the way it was set up, like they had dug around it. So one day after work, when I saw that, I went over there and I took that heavy top off, and it looked like somebody had cut so many wires. It was not a new meter for sure. So one day I saw one of the City of Houston water guys out there, and he was not very friendly, by the way. But I went over there and I'm like, are you guys changing meters? Like, are you guys doing something? I said, A, my water pressure is low. B, my water bill has gone up tremendously. And I said, and then somebody came and messed with this. He's like, oh, we're putting new meters. And I'm like, that is not a new meter. Can you please open that and look at it? So then he got off his truck and he went over there and he's like, oh, well, we're putting new meters on the people that had issues with their big bill before. Remember, there was a lot of people that were getting like thousands of dollars in water bills. He made it sound like they were giving them the new water meters, and then other people were going to come after. But that water meter looks like it's as old as I am. It's bad.
You
So
What
I
can't
they
was
even,
just
re-
wondering how
can't-
they get their readings.
you can't even
actually
see mine. It's
what
like
they
a foot
replaced
under a foot of dirt.
what they
Correct.
replaced is that they have like something that sands how much water you used. The ones that we've had were supposedly not working properly, so they changed them. And I know that when they changed mine, my water bill went up. But the water bill is going to go up again. It's about to go up another 8 or 10%. I don't know if you heard that, but there was a water rate increase. And so a lot of the high water bills is because they basically have gone up, I think 60, 80% from 3 years ago. So, where I used to have $80 water bills, now 180 to 220 is more common.
Dang.
So
Yeah.
it-
Well, mine's
it's
not that high, but I've noticed like maybe doubled, but then yes, it's doubled, it's going up, but then like what happened to my water pressure then,
Uh, Yeah,
you
I've
you gotta
called them
report
about that water pressure too, and it's just like nothing happens.
report to 311.
Okay.
They'll look into it.
Okay, I will.
Me too.
Because one of the things, if you have low water pressure, chances are the fire hydrant also has low water pressure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that's true. And that there's one literally right in front of well, it's the house that's in front of me. It's across the street on the median to that house. I will. Like I said, I see myself having a lot of extra time after I stop working. So for sure, I want to help out and make, like I said, our neighborhood better. I want to make our neighborhood cleaner, and I'll be willing to help you, Miss Jean, with the house of the month and maybe the newsletter, whatever you might need my help on.
Okay. Does Carol Elizondo have your information?
I don't think so, but I can give you guys my cell phone number. Do we exchange cell phone numbers, or
I was
no?
wondering about that.
Can we?
Not right now. We're being videotaped. Now I remember where I had posted the agenda. I posted it on our homepage. Two things. Uh, One is, I had to switch, and I think some of you knew, I had to switch our savings account because several months ago, I noticed that money was going out from our accounts that I hadn't authorized. And since I'm the only one on the account, I reported it to the bank. So we switched the business account to another one. Then I noticed it also on our checking account. And so that did that. And so every day I go to make sure that in fact it's not happening anymore. So, there's so much fraud going on that, you just got to keep up with it. The other thing is stamps. I did buy 2 roll of stamps. And if you haven't heard, the stamps are going to go up in July from 73 to 78 cents. So I may buy another 2, maybe 3 rolls. I bought the 2 because next month I'm going to send out an invoice to the people that haven't paid for this year, at least the ones that are only 1 or 2 years behind. And then in October or November, we got to do the invoicing again. So we can save a bit of money by buying the stamps now. So
That makes sense.
anybody object to that?
No.
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 Okay, and our budget already covers all of this. So anything
thanks for
else?
that.
That's the other thing. We're required to put the agenda on our website. So I may forget, but I remembered, oh, it's on our website. I guess I have to put it there. So before the meeting, if you look at that website, it's the agendas should be there. Anything else anybody wants to discuss? If not, motion to adjourn.
Well, real quick, like if we can't give numbers out during a meeting, like how do we do it?
Well, you can, but let me turn off the audio and
Okay.
let me stop it from recording, okay?
Okay.
I move we adjourn.
I second that.
Okay. All in favor?
I
I
I-
Okay.